Lab Code Agents, thanks for being here. My name is Nick Baldwin, co-founder of LCA, and we all know that cold calling sucks, and we can't keep renting our leads from Zillow. It's just not sustainable in the long run. Facebook leads have very low conversions, and organic long-form content on YouTube is one of the best ways for your potential clients to know, like, and trust you. And we're going to talk to Brandon Garon, and he's a real estate agent. We got Paolo here, co-founder of Your Tube Team, and we're going to talk about how Brandon has closed over 100 deals from YouTube alone, right, Brandon?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and that's over the past how many years?
So I really dove into YouTube real estate wise back in late 2020. So I would say closings first started happening in 2021. So yeah, kind of was over that time period, over 100 now. And you cut out, but got 8 closings this month. So that number's climbing fast this year.
8 closings from YouTube.
Yes, directly from YouTube.
Wow, dude, that's incredible. So let's just kind of jump in. So what made you kind of get started with YouTube in the first place? Because 2020, I mean, was it during COVID, I would guess, right? Was when you started doing that?
Yeah, and obviously, first of all, thank you all for having me on here. I don't do these too often. I tell people I don't do coaching. I don't sell courses. I'm just a real estate agent. These guys asked me if I'd hop on and chat about what I've personally done that's helped me. And I do enjoy doing what I do. So I told them, like, by all means, I'm happy to hop on here and kind of share what's worked for me. And hopefully someone in here can kind of take something away to help their business. But yeah, my story's a little bit kind of different, I guess I would say. So prior to real estate, I was an EMT for 10 years. And during the time, I always tried some side hustles, as you call it. And probably the biggest was network marketing, MLM. I was with a company called Beachbody. And back then, this was kind of circa 2012. My mentor's like, you got to get into YouTube. So I jumped into YouTube at that time. Now, don't get excited. Like nothing really came of it, but I got into YouTube. So went to a ton of seminars back then, learned a lot about YouTube, tried to build it within that business, but never really, I didn't even have 100 subscribers at that point. Left network marketing and just kind of started doing some vlogging because I kind of fell in love with YouTube. Again, never really had success from it, but my wife and I relocated from California to South Carolina back in 2015. And I made a vlog video kind of sharing why. Like originally it was just for Facebook. Like, we had told all of our friends, family and that, but I was like, I got all these friends on Facebook. Let me make a video. And I decided to pop it on YouTube channel just cause. Then again, we moved to South Carolina. I was vlogging about that journey a little bit. Still really no traction. All of a sudden that video that I made just started blowing up all crazy. And I actually I vlogged when I got into real estate, which was 2018. I got my first YouTube call. This guy called me. He's like, dude, I watched your video about moving there. We're coming from California too. And I saw a video that you're now a real estate agent. Like, can you help me? And of course, ended up helping him. I never really put 2 and 2 together at that point. Kind of kept doing that. My wife was working new construction real estate. So I would tour her neighborhoods. And then in 2020, I was struggling in real estate. And my wife kind of gave me an ultimatum of like, hey, after next year, because I started in 2018. So she said, after this next year, like, you got to come up with a plan B. And I was like, I got to figure something out. And so I really wanted to do the YouTube thing. But like I said, was struggling. I'd only had 1 client at that point. And I got the recommendation to just kind of be more consistent with it, like put a video out every single week. So that was, again, COVID era. It was like, all right, well, at this point, got nothing better to do. So I kind of went head in at that point, put a video out every single week since then. And it's just kind of been this slow progress to essentially, like you said, now over 100 transaction closed directly from YouTube.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So you had all the time in the world through COVID to make videos. What are your videos typically about?
Everything, it's kind of again, I enjoy the content process of it. So I trial everything you can imagine. There's the general videos, the pros and cons of the area, the things they don't tell you. Of course, me relocating here myself, have a lot of understanding of that stuff. But, I have tried so many different things over the years to find what works, watching what other content creators are doing in other industries and things like that. So I've done driving videos where I literally mount a camera to my rear view mirror, drive around, and then go back later and record myself talking through it, being like, hey, on the left is this, on the right is that. Done those home tours, neighborhood tours, everything you can imagine. I've tried to kind of see basically what works. I've always taken it from the viewpoint of, as someone going backwards, the reason I've really loved the YouTube side of it is when we relocated here, there wasn't any of that. My wife and I literally flew out, drove around where we live now for a week, and decided to make kind of a leap of faith off that. And then it was a process. Like I said, I was an EMT back then, about a year for us to land here. So we kind of did it on a leap of faith, and we learned everything the hard way. So my kind of idea in every video is, if I was kind of moving again, what type of videos would I like to see? So it always comes from that standpoint, but it's always also we're playing the YouTube game. So it's like, what works on YouTube, also what works for what I would want. So it's kind of meshing the combination of both of those things in one. And so it's kind of, there's not one type of video. It's kind of a multitude of videos trying to figure out what works and what gets the clients to have a better understanding of the area to make ultimately that decision of whether or not they want to move.
Really good point. And Brandon, fun fact is you've only missed like one upload over the past 5 years, right?
Yeah, that's a long story. But yes, and over almost coming up on 6 years now, what 1 week missed in almost 6 years. And I've done 2 videos a week. That's a couple times.
Yeah, and it's not easy with YouTube. Like, some of your videos are like 30 minutes long, average 500 to thousands of views. So yeah, that's really commend you for that, because every single week for many years posting, that's like one of the best out of all the agents we work with. You're one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent.
Yeah, it's a lot of work and effort, especially in the beginning. When you're doing it all yourself, you're making the videos, you're doing every aspect of real estate. Back then I was editing by myself. It was doing everything. It's a grind. And it really was, but obviously it paid off over time. It just takes that time of putting in the consistency to do it, getting there and being okay to trial things. And that didn't work. Let me try something else.
Yeah, definitely. And how do the leads come in? Are they mostly like direct reach outs through the relocation guide?
Yeah. So all of them direct reach out, and they come in a multitude of ways, kind of every way you could imagine. Some call us direct, some email us direct, some go through, I have an IDX website, some register on there, some it is for relocation guides, kind of every single way you can imagine they reach out. But yeah, everything is an organic reach out. That's how we know we can track them to YouTube, because obviously when they reach out, hey, we found you on your YouTube channel. So they're all organic reach outs, and some multitude, whatever they find the easiest way to contact us. Message me. I've had some message me on Facebook, even being like, I watch your videos on YouTube and I found you over here, and shoot me a message over there. So they'll find whatever way they can to get a hold of me.
Nice. And they typically say that like they watch one of your videos and then they binge watch your content, right?
Yeah, and most of the time, it's always interesting. Everybody says, I've watched all your videos. Now, the more you talk to them, you realize how many they've actually watched. Some you can tell have watched just about all of them, because I say something and they're like, I've heard you say that before. Where others, you can tell they've watched a couple videos, but not all. But yeah, it tends to feel like it's a lot of binge watching. And obviously in the analytics, you can see that there are people that just keep coming back for more videos.
Mm-hmm. And before YouTube, did you try anything else as far as like Facebook or other types of lead sources?
Yeah. So when I first got into real estate, I was on a team, because again, I relocated the area, didn't know anybody. So the team I was on, they did, the Google PPC leads, sync leads, kind of the general warm leads, as you call it. So that was a majority was doing. I've tried the Facebook and Instagram stuff organically. Never really paid for ads on any of that stuff. Never really got anywhere with, I still post Instagram content to this day, and I don't think I've had a single person reach out because of my Instagram content. But majority of what I was doing that was giving me at least some leads was through the team leads, which again were kind of those pay-per-click, whatever you want to call them, leads.
Very nice. And I know you had mentioned you've closed 8 deals just this month through YouTube. How many leads are you typically getting every single month through YouTube?
Yeah, so it varies. I would say nowadays on average is probably about 30 leads a month. It ebbs and flows throughout the seasons. Obviously, as we know with real estate, there's kind of seasonal. And so, you know, one month maybe 20 some leads, the next month maybe 50 leads. But I would say on average, I try and track all my numbers. I became a spreadsheet person years later to try and start finally tracking things. And yeah, I would say on average about 30 leads a month.
30 leads.
I got cut off there, so I'm not really sure if you guys talked about this, but with all of those leads per month, what is your follow-up plan with that amount with like that much volume?
Yeah, it's tough. So nowadays I am a team, I guess is the best way to put it. And that's been a process to get to where I am now years later. It wasn't this way in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just as much of a cluster as you can imagine. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the most organized person. So it was just trying to, I have a CRM. So the team I was on had Follow Up Boss, and now I have my own Follow Up Boss. I've stuck with it. So back then it was just kind of how can I manage this by myself, which was basically controlled chaos. Now, obviously years later, I've kind of refined that system. So I have what I like to call I like to call like a doctor's office. So I got my admin. So she's the front desk person. So she kind of does all the intake of leads. She captures them all. And then basically depending on where they are in process, depends on what she does next. So if it's like, hey, I'm 4 months out from buying, great. Let me get you on Brandon's calendar and we try and set up a Zoom meeting. If it's like, hey, I'm 2 years out, then we kind of approach it a little bit different. Depending on what they're saying, I may email them back. I may just get on a phone call with them. So we kind of take it based on their time frame. If let's just say they're 6 months out, to call it that, she's going to put it on my calendar for a Zoom meeting. Nowadays, I have an assistant that helps me with showing. So I have a showing partner. She only came and joined me about 4 months ago. So before that, it was just me. But so I bring her on and we kind of mutually go on there. And we have what I like to call a consultation call. So we kind of figure out their wants, needs, goals, things like that, dive deeper into what they're looking for. And then kind of from there, it's a matter of, I do have, again, an IDX feed. So I'll set them up on a home search. I have, like Paula talked about, I have some relocation guides that kind of help them with their own little research. So we kind of give them a little bit of information. And then basically the goal is to get them on the calendar for when they're here in person, whether that's an in-person meeting or getting them scheduled for actual showings. So we've kind of refined that process over the years to do that. Again, in the beginning, it was kind of a lot of just chaos and you do miss leads. And that's why I had to bring where my fault is. I'm like, let me hire somebody that can help me, because again, it was a lot of missed leads in the beginning because of that. Cause it was just, I couldn't manage it all.
Definitely makes sense. How long does it typically take you week over week as far as like working on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, don't use me as a poster child, because I like to tell people, again, like I told you, I'm passionate about YouTube. So there are some videos that I spend way too many hours on just because I want to perfect it. Now, again, it depends on the video, right? If I'm doing a home tour video, let's call it, I may go out to the community, meet with the agent on site, like, okay, what floor plans you got that, you see a lot of clients liking. I'll go walk those floor plans and kind of get the mindset of what I want to do in that video. And then I'll go ahead and record that video and then obviously get it over to you guys to edit. So those ones may only take a couple hours of that whole process. Where the talking heads, it's a lot more research, because I script all my talking head videos. So it's the research, getting all the information I need, making sure it's right. And then I very much have gone away from sitting behind my desk doing videos, and I like doing them out in public, because obviously people want to see the area versus just my desk. So now I'm going out in public and finding kind of highlight spots in the area, whether it's like a neighborhood that's aesthetically pleasing or downtown. So those ones I could be out filming all day, because it's like, hey, I go drive over here, I film that section. I go drive over here, I film that section. again, you don't have, like, in the beginning, I didn't do any of this. As I've grown, I'm very much a person of, I don't want to be the same person this year as I was last year. So I want to progress. So that's where I am today. In the beginning, it was just me sitting behind the desk, but I'm very much, and Paulo knows this, I meet with them every single year and I'm like, we're pushing the envelope. How can we push this more? And so that's where I'm at today. So I can spend a crazy amount of time on videos, but realistically, you know, sitting behind your desk, you can get it done. If I'm doing one behind the desk, I could get it done in a couple hours, but I've had videos that I've literally spent 40 hours on making, just to be transparent. You don't need to do that, but that's just me.
And if you guys see Brandon's videos, they're amazing. You know, 30 minutes of just pure value. He's going around the area. He's doing community tours and map tours. And they're really getting to like know, like, and trust the video version of you. So when they do call you, they feel like they already know you, right? That's
the goal. Yeah, that's entirely the goal. And like I said, you can do that. Like, go back to the very beginning of it. And I was filming with a GoPro, and you know, you're doing home tours like this. There were no gimbals, right? And as long as the content's good, exactly like you said, they know, like, and trust you, they'll still call. People still called me back then. Again, I'm very much push the envelope kind of person, which is the only reason I spend the amount of time I do on the video. And again, because I have a team now, I can actually have the time to do that. Before, I didn't have the bandwidth to do that. So a year ago, I didn't have the hours to spend on these videos. It was just, we got to get this done within 2 hours, 3 hours that I have to be able to get it to y'all, to get it live. So that's just kind of, like I said, where I'm at now. But you're 100% right. People care more about like who you are as an individual, that building that know, like, and trust, than per se the aesthetics of the video. That is really just getting down to the nitty and gritty, 1% trying to push the envelope. Then per se, what really moves the needle is, do they trust you?
Mm-hmm. We always make this joke. It's YouTube because it's you, right? They're buying in you as a person.
They're calling for you. And that's been the hardest part of the transition of the team, because it's the oddest thing. Like, I remember, you know, a couple years back, I walked into this new construction neighborhood. My clients were meeting me there, and I was talking to her. You know, she's like, "Hey, can you give me a little bit of information?" I said, "Yeah, you know, we had met over YouTube. We talked, da 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 da." And this couple starts walking up, and she's like, "Is that them?" I said, "I'll be 100% honest. I've only had a phone call with them. I don't know what they look like. I know their story, but trust me, when they walk in, they'll know me." And they open the door, and they're like, "Brandon!" So excited. She just starts laughing, because it's very weird. I get stopped in Costco all the time. Like, "Brandon, oh my gosh, we watched all your videos before you came here." So you kind of become, yes, this mini celebrity. And a lot of, kind of going back to what you're talking about, is the more personality you put in there, the more they're like, "I just want to hang out with this guy." I've gotten that message. "Hey, we live here. Dude, I would love to just come have, you know, a beer with you one day." Like, you want to create that vibe with them where they want to hang out with you, but at the same accord, you're knowledgeable and you know what you're talking about. So I would love to have you help me buy a house. So it's kind of building that like friendship, like connection, but at the same accord that you know what you're talking about, trust side. So it is that know, like, and trust of playing both sides of that.
Nice. It's funny you bring up Costco. I think we did a webinar.
Do you find...
What are you saying?
I think it was out. I did this webinar with LabCoat a few months ago, and I brought up Costco, and and one of them, I'll send it to you after. But yeah, so after somebody reaches out, do you put them on some type of drip campaign, or do you have like your team consistently follow up?
Yeah, so we don't have any drips at this point. I've been looking at trying to do that more, because it is challenging, obviously, to keep up with the lead flow, but more so, excuse me, it is a follow-up. So we use Follow-Up Boss, like I said. So we'll just, once we have a conversation and we know their time frame, we tag it like, this is 3 months to 6 months, this is 6 to 9. And so basically, you know, we circle back and follow up. And so my admin, she kind of does that too. Like I said, if someone's 2 years out, she'll kind of every once in a while go through the entire lead database and shoot them an email, shoot them a text. So yeah, I won't say that we have that very proficient yet. I would like to get to drip emails, but more so we depend on obviously the YouTube videos, because they are binge watching. So these people will continue to watch the videos. So it's kind of its own drip in a sense of they're subscribed to you. They're going to get notified. They'll keep watching. And then, like I said, home searches. That's basically what we've utilized thus far. It's been good, but I do want to get into drips to see if it can't push the envelope a little bit more.
Definitely. And I know when we started working together about like 3 years ago, you had mentioned you work with like other overseas editors. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience hiring out editors?
Yeah. So like I said, in the very beginning, I edited myself, and I wasn't like, I'm not claiming to be some great editor. I was using, iMovie when I first started, then got into WeVideo, nothing complicated by any sense of the means. Obviously at some point it became overbearing once the lead flow started coming in. I didn't have the money in the beginning because, again, I was struggling as an agent to convince my wife, hey, I'm going to pay this editor to do my video. So I was like, I got to do it myself. And so I would literally, once it start ramping up, I'd be out showing, come home, put the kids to bed, and then be up editing videos till midnight. And so at some point it was just like, this is too much. And so I went through probably 2 or 3 editors that it just never panned out, because it was like, it was just, the quality was not coming back. You would push back and be like, hey, I'm in Lexington, South Carolina, not Lexington, Kentucky. But then next week they would send you a video and it would say Lexington, Kentucky again. It's like, no. And so it was like, they just weren't getting the feedback very well. And again, I would get these videos like, I could edit myself this, like what, like, and so it was just very frustrating. And I cycled through probably 2 or 3 different editors. And then I was taking it on myself again and again, was in that position where it was just like, this is just too much. And Chris actually called me direct and was like, hey, Brandon, we've been watching your stuff. Would love to try and work with you. And at that point, I was at my wit's end again and was like, yeah, let's see what you all can do. I respect the fact that you actually called me, because we all get spam blasted. Once you start making YouTube videos, you'll get spam emails every single day of, I can make your videos so much better. But the communication that he had with me, I respected that right from the start. I was like, this is very respectful. The way he approached it wasn't like this bait and switch. It was very upfront and honest. And so I was like, all right, I'll give you guys a try. And obviously that was over 2 years ago now. And I almost been with y'all ever since. I made a slight move away for a couple months, but quickly came back with my tail between my legs and was like, I made a mistake. Can you guys take me back?
I remember the first few years we were just cold calling the entire time. And now all of our business from like affiliates and in referrals. But yeah, as far as like the editing goes, when you're doing it yourself, how long did it typically take you per, because usually from what we see, it's usually like a minute or an hour per minute of edited footage that our team. So if it's like a 10-minute video, it could take up to 10 hours because we're adding all these effects and we're adding different B-roll. So how long did it take you when you were editing your own video?
Yeah. So like I said, mine was very basic. So I wasn't as deep. That was the other thing I liked about you all. It was like, okay, this is worth the money I'm paying. You're not just doing the same thing I could get done. And because it was only taking me probably a couple hours. But again, I was just edit out the errors, throw up a little bit of B-roll. It was nowhere near the quality that you guys are giving me now. So it's not an apples to apples comparison, but even then it would take me a couple hours to at least edit a video. And back then, like you talked about, now I'm doing 30-minute videos. I mean, I've done some with y'all that are an hour. Back then, they were only 5-minute videos, 7-minute videos. So, spending a couple hours editing those. And most of it was just editing out. As you can tell already, I just kind of tend to ramble. And so it's like, let's cut out all the parts that are irrelevant and kind of condense it down. And then, like I said, throw up some B-roll text, things like that. So it was taking me a couple hours, but it was nowhere near the depth of editing that you guys are doing, the quality, I should say.
Very nice. So I always get questions all the time about like, what's the most important aspects on YouTube? I tell them the packaging is very important. Of course, the topic, the title, the thumbnail, they all need to work well together. So as far as like the topics go, if you were to rate the best topics to do, what would you say? Like community tours? I know you do like, you've pretty much done everything. So if you were to rank like, what are the best topics to do? Let's say as a new agent that's just starting off with YouTube, their first 90 days, what topics would you recommend?
Yeah. And I wish that it's kind of like in real estate when someone's like, hey, what's the perfect script? Like there's no perfect video. As we talked about before, these people are binge watching. It's the combination. And really the best way I've had it explained to me is kind of like levels of the funnel when you think of a sales funnel. And so your top of the sales funnel videos are going to be like those pros and cons videos, the things they don't tell you about this area. Like, let me break down the general area. And then you kind of go further down the funnel to area tour, top neighborhoods, home tours, and things like that. From what I found, because again, that's one of the challenging parts of YouTube is the analytics tell you what people watch, but I've learned very much the hard way. Views don't turn into buyers always. It does not equate. I've made that mistake, and I can tell that story if you want to, of a high content video that got tons of views, but did not bring us buyers. It brought us the wrong type of people. So you can't just depend on, well, this got the most views, so this is the best video. So there's no way to really tell where buyers are truly coming from. So we depend on basically the clients telling us what they watched. And what from I found, it's the combination of both. It's the top of the funnel, but then it's also the more nuanced specific, because everyone can give you general information about an area. But once you start diving into neighborhoods and giving that personal sense of it, that's when they start to connect to you more. But you can't get them into the funnel until you do the high top videos. So that's why I say it's a combination of both. I wish there was one, but you really got to alternate between the two. The top of the funnel, as well as the more nuanced, like, hey, top neighborhoods, here's a home tour, whatever it may be. And you got to figure out what works for your market, because again, I have the benefit of we have new construction in our area. I know not everybody has new construction. So it's like, what I go tour again, neighborhood tours. People love those. Let me go tour the, top 5 neighborhoods in the area. And obviously I understand as real estate agents, you have to be careful with top. And so you just kind of articulate in a way of like, hey, we've sold the most amount of homes in these neighborhoods. Let me go tour them for you. So it's the combination of both that I found is truly the secret sauce versus just being one video. Because again, views does not equate. It's not equal. View. And again, if we got time, I got a recommendation to make this video of the top things coming to the area. And I made this video that was, this new development is coming over here, but it also was this new sky rise is coming downtown. They're doing some construction on the Riverwalk down here. It was kind of a little bit of everything. They're expanding the technology center. The college is growing. And our phones blew up, but it was literally, how do I apply for a job to get a job at the water, treatment plant? It was, what is the city doing about homeless people? It was, and my assistant called me and she's like, I don't know what to do, Brandon. The phone's blowing up, but none of these people want to buy a home. And I had to delist the video. It's one of my fastest growing videos. I've never had a video grow that fast. And I literally had to delist it because it was just driving the wrong traffic. So that's why I tell people views don't equate. And so I could tell you what videos will make views, but it's not always the same that'll convert. It's the combination of the two that actually make the conversion work.
I love that you bring that up. I always tell agents that all the time. Views don't always equate.
No.
Things, right? We have some agents that,
it's hard because again, especially in the beginning, all you have to go off of as a metric is the views. So it's like, this is all I have. So this is my focus. And so I get it. I still play that game to this day of like, I need to push views. And I fight with myself being like, hold on, views does not, like I have that battle with myself because the challenge is I'm a real estate agent, but I'm playing the YouTube game. And they're two different games that you somehow have to mesh together. And so again, the mesh that I found of both of them is a lot of people like to ask about the algorithm. One of the best pieces of advice I got years ago was the algorithm is just the consumer, right? The algorithm is the consumer. They push out to the consumers. Consumer likes it. Consumer watches it. Let's show more consumers. Consumer doesn't watch it. Let's show less consumers. That's all the algorithm is their consumers. So I always think of it again, if I was relocating here, what would I want to see? Now, where obviously the nuance, like you talked about with the packaging comes in, is I need to put it in a context that someone that's not here would understand, right? I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. Most of you, if you didn't go to college here or you weren't stationed at Fort Jackson, you probably have no idea where Columbia, South Carolina is. It's the state capital. So if you're researching the area, how do I make sure that people find this? I can start telling you town names. Hey, Gilbert, South Carolina. You guys don't know what that means. Neither does the consumer. So you just have to be careful of what can I make that a consumer that knows very little about an area, they may have heard of Columbia, is actually going to click on this video. That's the top of the funnel. Now, once they've learned, now I can go into the top 5 neighborhoods because they understand a little bit more about Columbia. But you can't, it's a balance that you have to play, like you talked about with the packaging of playing the real estate game, but also playing the YouTube game. And again, it's a complex process, and I wish I could articulate it better, but obviously it's complex. And that's the biggest thing I've learned over time is, you can kind of get away with not understanding it for a long time. And then the more you understand, the more you're like, okay, this is more complicated than I thought. But you can easily get away with it with only knowing a little bit is the benefit of it. And I did, because I didn't know much about it. Now, obviously, I have 5 years worth of analytics to stare at and kind of have a better understanding.
Definitely. And after years of creating content and paying close attention to your channel, you start to see certain metrics that are very important, like average view duration, right? Average view duration. I always say, like, you always want to raise your average view duration. And I love that you take feedback from people that reach out to you. And you had mentioned before that you kind of create topics based on like the frequently asked questions that you get from people, right? That's usually like the topic creation process.
Yeah. Content creation. I always tell people that's the hardest thing to teach because it is an art form. Like, I don't know how to tell you that sometimes I lay in my bed at 10 o'clock at night, an idea hits me and I have to run into my office and jot it down. Like, I can't teach you that. But a lot of it is just going back to what you were saying is listening, right? I hear what my clients say when they're like, man, I wish someone told me. Every time I hear, I wish someone told me, my ears perk up and I'm like, what did you wish someone told you? And it's like, okay, how can I answer that in a YouTube format video? And so it's a lot of just feedback from them because they're the ones that are the consumers of the content, right? I can judge my content all day, but I'm no longer a consumer of it. And so I have to learn from them what they like, what they don't like, and better my videos based on their feedback. They're the best feedback because they're the buyers. And so, yeah, that is a big part of the content creation is just listening to your clients' pain points and figuring out how can I solve their problems better. And I get like I have a team now. So I went to my showing agent the other day. She's from Jersey. She relocated here, couple years, 5 years ago. Didn't work with me as an agent. It was before I started doing this. But I went to her and I said, I want you to like truthfully watch my videos and tell me what you think I'm missing. Like, please give me constructive criticism because it's the only way I can get better. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything. Yes, it's worked. I've sold over 100 homes, but that doesn't mean I know everything. So I need to have your feedback because the other problem is, as we know with these algorithms, they change. And what worked 5 years ago does not work today. And so it's like you have to kind of get that feedback in real time of what's working. And again, analytics only tell you so much. So you have to ask the consumer of what you like. And I get in the beginning, it's hard because you're like, I don't have anyone to ask. And so it's just like, okay, picture in your brain what you would like to see. Start from there. That's where I started. And then as I started getting feedback from the clients, now I had more content to get from them versus me just picking things out of my brain.
Very, very great points. And a lot of agents, they think that it's just one strategy for every single market out there. There's a lot of different strategies. It's not just, it's like relocation. You have some people doing home tours. Something that I realize is doing relocation content and doing home tours, you can't really mix both. Like, you really want to focus on one specific niche.
And that's the best way to put it. And the best way and I didn't capture this till a couple years later. You want to chase what you're passionate about because that's going to make it easier. If you hate relocation, Like, don't do it, because in 2 years, you're going to be sick and tired of making videos about it. I have always wanted to find a way to make an impact. That's always been a big thing to me, right? I was an EMT for 10 years, and it was like, how can I make an impact? And so the videos were kind of a way to do it. And I was struggling like a while with it. And I went to Tony Robbins a while back, and they had this guy, John Darrenbos, and he made a comment to me that really struck with me. And he said, be to the world that what you wish you had. And it switched my psychology of the videos of, I am making an impact. I'm making an impact on something that I relate to these people about. And so that's why I'm so passionate about the content, because I'm helping Brandon a decade ago that had no information when he moved to this area. So it's almost like I'm helping a younger version of myself. So you're 100% right. Like, find the thing you're passionate about. Like, what is it that you love about real estate? Like, what niche? Like, do you love listings? Do you love homes? Like, go do that. Because again, otherwise, trust me, it gets hard 5 years, 6 years later to stay consistent. But if I didn't care about this, it would be way harder. So you got to find what you're passionate about. And you're 100% right. Every market is not the same. I'm not going to pretend like what I'm doing identically. And I talk to people, and I talk about doing these driving tours, and they're like, driving tours don't work everywhere. Well, for whatever reason, they're working in my market. And maybe it's just the angle I'm taking about it. So yeah, you have to kind of find your niche in your way. In the beginning, it's fine if you kind of trial and figure that out, because you don't know. Like, when we all got into real estate, we all had this envision of what real estate was. But once you start actually playing real estate and being a real estate agent, that mindset kind of shifts, and all of a sudden your goals shift, and all of a sudden what you want to do shifts. And so you kind of got to play with it in the beginning to find your passion. Like I said, it took me a while to get that like light bulb moment of, no, this is what I've been trying to do. I just never looked in the mirror and like had that perspective of it. So yeah, niching down is important, because that's how you connect to people. I've gotten the call from clients where they're like, Brandon, I was between two agents. There was this other agent. He's really seasoned. He's really good. But I just feel like you relate to me. And that's why we're going with you. This guy's been doing real estate twice as long as me, but we're choosing you because I relate to you. And so that the only way that exists is if you actually relate to your clients in that sense. So that's why niching to me is important, because you can create a better connection with the client than you can just aimlessly picking. Everyone said this works, so let me just go do that.
100% agree. And really good point there. I love that your main goal is to really create an impact. And usually when you're filming content, what you feel, they feel. So if you're creating content, and you're like feeling sad that day and something happened, it kind of comes off on video. So do you have any tips for like anytime that agents are shooting content and they're afraid to film, just keeping yourself consistent? Because I see that's a really huge problem right now with real estate, is staying consistent with filming.
Yeah. And to me, and I can only say this because I've been there, is a lot of it, I think, is ego and pride. Look, you're watching my video. Go watch my videos now, and you're like, wow, this guy's so good. Yeah, because I told you I started making videos in 2012. I hope I kind of have like some sense of camera at this point by doing it so long. My first videos when I was on YouTube, they sucked. Like, they were not good. Like, you have to suck before you get good. And I knew that was my biggest problem. I was afraid to hit record too. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not that good. These other guys are so much better. And I just don't sound like, you get in your head with it. And that really messes with you. So the best advice I got back then was, as opposed to trying to talk to the world, where all of a sudden you do get in your head, we're like, what is my mom thinking? What are my friends going to say? Picture one individual on that camera that you're trying to speak to. Whoever, if you got to put a picture of them right there, do that and talk like you're talking to them. And so that way, and that's the best way to do videos, is like, again, I'm talking to one individual person, someone that wants to relocate to our area, that is, you know, whatever it may be. Talk to one person versus thinking about everything else. And again, I get it, easier said than done. I was there over a decade ago, and I understand those struggles. But just understand, you're going to suck before you get good. And even when you get good, other people are going to tell you like, your videos are great. I still have that same internal struggle and watch my videos and go, these guys are so much better, because you're always going to be comparing to the people above you. You're never going to look down and be like, well, those guys stink. I'm doing great. You always look. So every level, trust me, there's always going to be someone higher. So I still feel that way years later, making videos that I'm not like, I've been doing this so long. I know people that have come in sooner than me and they're better than me. Like you just have to kind of let that go. And again, this has been a personal life struggle that I've worked very hard on, been through personal development. I said I went to Tony Robbins. Like it's not something that I just woke up one day and was like, I'm great on camera. Like I just had to consistently work on it. But again, where the ego comes in is just realize you're probably going to look bad on camera the first couple times you do it. Like just keep trying to get better. People are going to make fun of you. Like I know people will be like, no one's going to say anything. Yes, they do. People on YouTube are ugly. I've been told I've been made more fun of on YouTube than I ever have in person. Like people are ugly. And again, I get that it's hard. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, it's easy. Like I get it personally. I've been there. It's a struggle, but it's just a matter of, we all know in real estate, anyone that's been in real estate time, I started in 2018, not to go on a side tangent, this is important, but just like with real estate, over those years, I've seen so many agents come in and within 3 months, within 6 months, within a year, they quit because they're like, oh, this is just not for me. No, you only tried it for 3 months. Like, how did you expect to be as good as the 10-year agent after 3 months? YouTube is the same way. Like it takes consistency. And all these years of doing it, I've watched in my own market, agents come in and after 3 months, after 6 months, after a year disappear. And it's like, oh, you were so close. Just give it a little bit more time. And it's funny because there's another agent in our market that's really successful. And I run into him all the time. And him and I talk about, like, we do YouTube. We both do YouTube and we talk about it. And it's like, it's just the consistency. The consistency, I think people throw at that term like, hey, just be consistent. But it's more than just, I made a video every single week for the last 6 years. It's every single week I made a video. I looked back at my video and I didn't judge my video, but I said, how can I be better next time? How can I have a better hook? How can I do better visuals? And I just did that every single week. And then obviously 5 years later, I'm standing here going, wow, I came a long way. But I didn't come a long way overnight. I came a long way one video at a time. So consistency goes beyond just showing up. It's making sure that when you show up the next week, you're trying to better yourself. And what I've learned to myself, again, personally, is I know when I put a video and send it to these guys, this is the best I could do at this time. Is it perfect? Is it better than I don't know, but this is the best I could do at this moment. And I put that kind of effort and energy into every single video I make to make sure it's the best video I could do at that moment. And next week, I'm going to try and get better.
I agree. Done is better than perfect. A lot of people, a lot of agents, they try to be perfectionists with their videos. So I like
perfect. Because the greatest thing, I was told this too, because I used to be I just want it to be perfect, right? Back in the day, I would make videos. I would record 10 different times to get the video right. And the reality is perfect is this excuse because perfect is a perception. So what is really perfect? So really, you're just using it as an excuse to just not put yourself out there. And again, I get it. I was that guy. I'm not saying this as someone standing on a pedestal saying I'm better than you. Don't do it. Like I was that guy. I joke, like I've had to get rid of a lot of excuses, and I hope that you guys don't pick them up and use them for yourself. But like, well, Brandon's been doing it since 20. That's fine. I know agents that have come in the last couple years and surpassed me. Like it has nothing to do with time. It has to do with your effort and energy. And so as long as you consistently put that effort and energy, I tell people all the time, I consider myself a slow learner, but I am stubborn and I'm not going to quit. I've only won because I didn't quit. That's it. Not because I was a fast learner and I figured this out quick. I spent years making videos that never got views, but I wasn't afraid to keep putting them out there, getting no views, because eventually it worked out. You know, I didn't know it was going to. In the moment I was like, am I wasting my time? I'd go to my wife, like, am I wasting my time? Like, no one's watching these. But obviously, thank goodness I didn't quit, because otherwise I wouldn't be in real estate, because I told you my wife gave me the ultimatum. So it's the consistency and not giving up is what helped me succeed.
Definitely. I think, consistency is definitely one of the most important things. Like you hear that word and you don't really process it until, you just have so much data now. You've been posting every week for many, many years at this point. And something that I've noticed too is there's some type of momentum with YouTube. Right? Like if you stop a week of upload, it can kill like 2 to 3 weeks of momentum. That's why I always try to recommend like batch filming content. Do you have any experience with batch filming multiple videos at once?
I have at certain points, like, you know, especially if I'm going out of town, like, hey, like for instance, we're going back to visit family in California. So I will batch film. I'll go out and film a couple videos at once. I don't I know it's a thing. I just like me to get into the mental space of this video. Like it's very in depth. And so sometimes it's like, okay, I know what this video wants to look like. And so it's hard for me, like in the mix when I've done it of like, let me go film half of this video and then half of this video and then half, because I'm moving locations. So it's hard for me to kind of jump back and forth, because even though I script the talking heads, there's a lot of ad lib in there. And so sometimes I'll ad lib and I'll be like, wait, am I ad libbing off of this video or did I already say that? And so it confuses me. So I like to kind of have like a storyboard of what I'm creating so I can kind of make the flow go better. So I have done it. Yes, I don't prefer it. Again, I tell people, do as I say, not as I do, because I don't think my way is the most proficient way to do it. I think there's more proficient ways 100%, and I'm working on that, but it's just what's worked for me. So it's hard for me to break that cycle. I have batch film, but I just like doing one at a time because it gets me into the video a lot more.
It's a very good point. Like I always say, you always have to figure out what works for you, because some people, they use teleprompters. Some people don't. I think you just riff off bullet points, right? Like you have like a script.
So it depends. So my talking heads are mostly scripted at this point, because again, as you can see, I can go on these tangents, and on YouTube, if you go too far on a tangent, everyone just drops off. So I have to reel it in. So a lot of times what I'll do, and my scripting, scripting is an art, because in the beginning, it just sounds like you're reading a teleprompter. You're like, hi, my name is Brandon. If you're considering real, like you have to learn how to do it. And so the best way I've learned to do it with my scripts is I talk to text. Like I'll pull up my pages and I'll talk to text everything out. So it's how I speak versus how I type, because most of us type different than we text. So I talk it out. And then I use ChatGPT and other things to refine it. So it's more of a package that's easier to consume on YouTube. So talking heads are that way. But yeah, if I go out and do like a home tour, that's all ripped, right? That's all in the flow of the moment. Like I said, I walked the house before, so I have an idea of like the highlight points, but it's very much flowed of I'm just walking through the house and just kind of ripping off of it. So it's a little bit of both. It's not, back in the day, I used to do a lot more bullet points. But again, I'm very guilty of, I should have put bullet points with this right here. So I didn't do this as much, but again, I can just go on these tangents that on YouTube, people just fall off. Like you have to get to the point. And I know this is something my wife and I were just talking about the other night. I struggle with getting to the point because I feel like I got to over explain things. And on YouTube, sometimes you got to condense it down into something that's more bite size. And so that's why I lean on scripts. But you're 100% right. You have to learn how to use scripts so it doesn't sound like you're reading a script. And that's where a lot of the ad-libbing comes in and adding things like I was talking about before that make it sound like it's your voice versus you just reading a teleprompter.
That's a really great tip. The talk to text and then run it through GPT. And you probably have like some type of script structure, right? Where it's just like hook. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? What you how you prompt GPT? Because I know a lot of agents right now, they're using ChatGPT, they're using Gemini, they're using Claude. Do you have any tips on how to prompt the AI?
Yeah, I tell people I use chat to refine my ideas, not give them to them, because chat, I haven't not done it, right? I was working with ChatGPT on a script one time, and chat was like, hey, you know what would be a good script is this. And I was like, cool, let's try it. And the video bombed. And I'm like, chat, you were wrong. And of course, you can funnel your scripts back in and be like, hey, chat, what was wrong with this video? And all of a sudden it's picking it apart. And I'm like, well, you gave me that script. So that's why I say I don't use chat to give me my ideas. I help it refine it. So I give it the script and say, hey, can you help me build this into a YouTube script? And of course, it has to have a good hook. And then, you know, I will add my own storytelling in there later. I like have it leave me gaps so I can add my stories in there. But again, it's more of refining it for me. And I don't say I have a super easy prompt. I fight with ChatGPT a lot because I'll be like, no, chat, that's not what I was saying. I'm trying to articulate this way. And so we just kind of go back and forth until I'm like, that sounds good. And then I take it over onto my pages. I just use pages. I have 2 sitting over here right now, which is why I'm pointing at my second screen, and I'll read it again and then I'll edit it more. So the final edit comes from me because there's sometimes I wouldn't say it that way. So I have to redo it, and I'll talk through the script, and this helps with the teleprompter. I'll talk through the script. Sorry, someone's trying to text me, so my thing's freezing. There we go. I'll talk through the script like 5 or 6 times to refine it. So by the time I get to the teleprompter, I've already read the script 5 or 6 times. So it flows out more naturally. So I don't want to say I have like this super tight structure with ChatGPT. It's a lot of just going back and forth with ChatGPT of chat. I want it to sound like, you know, whatever it may be, I'm wanting it to sound like, and let chat trying to kick it back. And no, that sounds too aggressive. I want it to be more of a conversation than per se a bullet point list. No, chat, that sounds like it's just me going back and forth with chat, which is why some of these videos take too long, is because I'm trying to get it to a certain thing. And again, I tried ChatGPT scripts before and they just did not perform well. And I even had one that didn't do well. And someone even commented, they're like, this sure sounds like a ChatGPT script. And I was like, well, that's because it was. Yeah. So like I said, I use it to refine my content, not per se give me the ideas. Because I've tried it, but it just hasn't done well.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Like using it to assist you rather than doing everything for you, because
don't use that as a clutch, because otherwise you're just going to sound like every other agent out there making ChatGPT videos. And again, for like, just to be 100% honest, like YouTube isn't one of those things that's like the stock market or Bitcoin where you got to get in early to get it. Like you can make your waves wherever you are. You could early on when ChatGPT came out, just read ChatGPT scripts and they were going to do fine. Nowadays, now that everyone's doing it, it's just kind of blanket. Everybody's doing it. So it's kind of like you all sound the same. So that's where nowadays it's like that doesn't really work anymore. And so it's a matter of, for me, it's like, how do I make it sound like my voice, not just a robot just dishing out what ChatGPT thinks does best for analytics. What does best for analytics is, again, the know, like, and trust, which is going to be people connecting with me. And we all know, like, if you watch YouTube, I don't watch it a ton. I'll be 100% honest, but my kids do. And it's like, they know these content people. They'll like, oh, this person is, and their wife is this. And they do, like, they know them like they're their best friends. That's what you want to create. And ChatGPT can't articulate that, at least from my opinion, very well. That's the kind of spice that you have to individually put on to make it so that it's knowledgeable, but they build a connection with you versus just the script. Because otherwise what will happen is they'll say, great content, Brandon, let me go call my agent and have them help me. You want them to connect directly with you. And so the personality has to shine in there. And ChatGPT, I haven't found, as much as I teach it, to give it in a way that sounds like truly me.
100% agree. You always need to add a personal touch, because at the end of the day, you're the market expert, and there's nuances in the area that only you know that you can't get from AI. Like personal stories, like they tend to do very, very well. I know you bring up a lot of personal stories, and it gets people to really relate to you and humanize you. So just using ChatGPT and just using Gemini and Claude, I definitely wouldn't recommend only using that. Like you always want to add some type of like personal touch.
Correct. Like I said, I use it to, I'm not going to say I don't use it. I use it to refine, like it refines my scripts, but it's not a clutch for me. If ChatGPT breaks tomorrow, I'm still going to be making videos. I'm going to be okay because I just use it to refine. And the stories thing I learned a long time ago too, is facts tell and stories sell. Like stories are that create personality. And so again, just like in real estate, when we first got started, at least I was told with scripting, it was like, if you don't have a story, borrow someone else's. So when a client calls, and I use those stories in my videos, like, hey, we had a client last week coming from California, and they were, tired where they couldn't afford to buy a place to live there. That relates to a lot of people nowadays. And they came out here and you tell stories that you know are going to relate to people. And again, if you don't have stories, go borrow other people's stories. There's someone in your office that has a story of a client that relocated. And so if you don't have them yet, just borrow somebody else's till you do have your own. And then you do it. And I did that in the beginning with real estate. Like, hey, yeah, someone in our office last week, they just had $1 million listing. And we did that, like, borrow other stories until you have your own.
Very, very great advice. So I know we're about to wrap up here and about to hit the hour mark, but one last question. So do you have any advice for agents who are consistently posting content, but they're not really seeing the lead flow quite yet?
Yeah, I mean, first I would say, how long has it been? Like, it takes time. Like, again, I started in 2020 and I probably didn't get my first lead for 3-4 months or something like that. I would have to look back at when the first closing was, but it takes time. Like, this isn't overnight success by any sense of the means. So it takes time for that first lead to come in. And then 2, I would, kind of look at your videos, like I said, I did with mine early on, and be like, what can I do better? Why are people not reaching out? Like, why are they not wanting to, what is missing from this video? And if you can't figure it out, go to like your friends and your family and be like, can you watch this video and tell me, if you were considering relocating the area, what's missing from it? Like, I still, to this day, by all means, give me constructive criticism. I still have people I go to like coach and be like, tell me what I like. 6 years later, I'm still like, tell me how I can get better. Never be afraid to take that advice. And again, if you can't figure it out yourself, go ask someone you trust. Always go ask somebody that's going to be honest with you and not sugarcoat it to make you feel better, and just going to be direct. I have a very direct wife, thank goodness, that will tell me straight up, like, what I need to know. So I know I can go to her for a lot of things. So find somebody that is going to be direct with you and tell you what you need to do, and then just slowly work on those things. So again, timing, it takes time, especially nowadays. Back in 2020, the competition was basically none. Nowadays, depending on your market, there may be 5 other people making videos. So it's going to take a little bit longer. And then 2, again, look at yourself blindly, or, in the mirror, and be like, okay, what can I do better to make people want to work with me? And again, it's self, what is the word I'm thinking of? Just having that self-awareness, I guess, of where your faults are and how you can get better at it. And that's the thing is, again, don't take my excuses I used to use back in the day that I'm just not good on camera. None of us were good on camera when we got started. Understand that it's going to take time, and don't be afraid to basically suck on camera for 6, 7, 8 months before you get your first lead to get good. Now, obviously, these guys nowadays have kind of refined a system that you can probably contest to it, that are probably getting leads faster than what we were back in the day, because they kind of have a better system than what we were. Just, I don't want to call it pioneers. I wasn't the first, but we were just kind of winging it back then.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely does take time, and your channel compounds over many, many years, right? So people can watch videos that you created many years ago, and it can still generate leads to this day. So I really like that approach of it.
It's shifted a little bit, just to be 100% honest with the algorithm. Like 8 months ago, some of my top videos were videos from 3 years ago, where now it's kind of shifted. So that's the hard part. YouTube moves a lot slower than like an Instagram or Facebook, but evergreen is slowing down a little bit, it feels like. But it's still a year later, a video. I have a video from at least a year ago that's still doing well. So yes, evergreen content. And that's the thing. Again, like I talked about with my video of relocating, that was a long time later when it blew. So you don't know when it's all of a sudden going to pop. So it just takes that consistency over time. And this video gets better and starts getting pushed out. And all of a sudden YouTube's like, well, maybe let's try this old video and see if that works. So I don't know. Like I said, it's just consistency over time.
Definitely. It definitely does take time. And now you actually rank for living in Columbia, South Carolina on Google, which is great. So if you're on incognito and you type in living in Columbia, South Carolina, Brandon actually shows up. So that's a, quick fact. But now you've closed over 100 deals from YouTube. Brandon is the proof that YouTube actually works and can be one of the best sources of lead generation for agents. And all of this is organic. There's no paid ad spend, right? No paid ad spend on any of the videos.
Don't
Yeah,
pay.
do not.
I knew an agent that tried it and it crushed his channel. Do not pay for ads on YouTube.
Yeah, it will kill your channel. If you do organic and if you do paid, it will definitely mess up your channel. But yeah, if you guys, anybody watching, if you did need help with your YouTube channel, I just put a link in the description. If you did want to book a call directly with me, really appreciate you hopping on this call, Brandon. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I always learn a lot of stuff every time we talk. So
yeah.
really appreciate having
And
you.
just to shout out to these guys again, like I said, I went through a bunch of different editors and came on with these guys, and it's been not only a time saver, but it's helped me focus on the things I need to focus on. Because again, trust me, I know it doesn't feel like it now, but if your YouTube channel starts growing 8 months down the road, you're going to get overwhelmed, and you want someone that's going to help you take care of your channel so you can focus on making the videos, working with the client. Because that's the biggest thing that I see most people fail is once the channel starts working, the phones start ringing, all of a sudden the first thing that people let go is the videos. They're like, well, I need to go help the clients. And it's like, so you need to, biggest thing I've learned that was a challenge for me is giving things away and giving my YouTube channel to them to be like, I trust you guys. Now, of course, I work with the editors to make sure it's what I want and get the thumbnails right and all that stuff. But it's been, trust me, the biggest time saver of things I've given away on the back end of it. Obviously having, a team now helps, but on that side of things, that has been the biggest time saver of my life is giving them that. And again, they're doing things that I couldn't do myself as well, where before I felt like I could. So, I've trialed a bunch of different ones. And like I said, I jumped to another one for 2 months and had my tail between my legs coming back going like, hey guys, can you guys take me back? So trust me when I say these guys are great. So by all means, like it'll be worth your while. Just be consistent. Don't get mad at them when after 1 month you don't have a lead. It takes time.
Definitely. No, I really appreciate that, Brandon. And learning to delegate, very, very important, because some people would get a ton of leads and closings from YouTube, and then they would drop the channel, which is bringing them the leads, and then they would lose momentum. So it's really great to have a team to not only hold you accountable, but to, like you said, just save you a ton of time so you could focus on what really matters, which is real estate, instead of trying to edit a video on iMovie or Final Cut Pro for 10 hours.
At midnight when your eyes are bloodshot and you're like, I just need to go to bed because I had shows at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Your wife's like, come to bed. Why are you editing?
No, she's like, yeah, you have fun with that.
Cool. Really appreciate your time, Brandon. I guess we'll close it out here. I've never closed one of these out, so I guess I just leave studio, I think.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Appreciate y'all's time.
All right. See you, Brandon. Talk to you.